hard line on immigration was a critical factor in Donald Trump's 2024 victory. Another, of course, was evangelical voters. But there's a section of that portion of the American electorate that has a lot at stake, but may not be getting as much attention, and that is Latino evangelical voters. Joining us now is Reverend Gabriel Salguero, president of the National Latino Evangelical Coalition and pastor of the Gathering Place in Orlando. He is a registered independent, as are 32% of the roughly 9 million Latino evangelicals in the U.S. All right, Reverend, when people picture Republican voting evangelicals in their head, are they picturing members of your community? And if not, why not?
I don't think they are, Christina. I think we remain invisible. Brown evangelicals or Latino evangelicals, which historically are independently minded more than our white evangelical counterparts. Usually when you see in the headlines, evangelical voted, they're not really considering Latino evangelicals. And there's about 9 million of us living in the United States.
So, I mean, President Trump's success was driven by gains, and some found them surprising gains he made with Latino voters. And that support was especially strong among Latino evangelicals. And I wanted to pick your brain a little bit because at first glance, it seems like a bit of a disconnect if you're voting for someone who's actively saying he wants to deport members potentially of your community. Why do you think in the end they made that decision to support Trump, even at the risk of their friends, neighbors, maybe even some relatives who could end up getting deported if this new policies go into place?
I think it's important for us to realize that Latino evangelicals are not a monolith, nor are they one-issue voters. And so when I walk into a room and I say I'm Latino, people assume I'm a Democrat. And when I walk into a room and I say I'm an evangelical pastor, people assume I'm a Republican. But I'm both evangelical and Latino. Part of the reason why I'm an independent voter, because neither party has a monopoly on all our issues. And so we are historically socially conservative. We are historically for religious liberty. But at the same time, we value immigration reform that respects the dignity of every human being. We value criminal justice reform. Our coalition was against the death penalty. We want a balanced budget, but not on the backs of the poor. So we're for the child tax credit and for earned income tax credit. And so there's a whole host of issues that Latino evangelicals vote around that historically people think, well, evangelicals are one-issue voters or two-issue voters. But that's not the case for Latino evangelicals.
What are people in your congregation telling you about when they go to the polls? What were the issues that you were hearing about? Because it seems like Democratic and Republican operatives may have had some idea, but as you mentioned, Latinos are not a monolith. It's a very diverse community. Different things are more important to different people. So when it comes to Latino evangelicals, what were at the top of their list when they went to the polls?
I think, like all other U.S. citizens, the economy was, can we pay our mortgage? Can we pay our rent? We have to choose between, especially amongst our seniors, between medicine and paying the rent. For children, will we be able to afford their future education, college or higher education? But immigration is also among that. We were really concerned, and I publicly made statements against any xenophobic rhetoric. We were deeply concerned by the phrases of poisoning the blood of our nation that came out of President-elect Trump's campaign. And so it's a whole host of issues, but immigration is just one of the many issues. The others, of course, being the economy, of course, being protecting anti-poverty programs, of course, religious liberty, of course, our concerns about our children.
Are members of your community, of your parish, are they concerned about possible deportations under these new possible immigration policies? And what are you doing to prepare?
We're beyond concern. Donald Trump's rhetoric has sent a chill up the Latino evangelical church's spine. We have said it before and we'll say it again. We are pro-immigrant churches and pro-family churches. And any mass deportation threat, whether it's with the intent to produce self-deportation or to scare our communities, is going to be met by resistance by Latino evangelicals. Of course, we want for criminal, violent immigrants to be dealt with. The majority of immigrants in this country are hardworking. They go to our Sunday schools. They worship with us. And when we heard that the possibility of ending the practices of protecting sensitive places like schools and hospitals and churches, we lifted up our voices, and our coalition said, we want the incoming administration to deeply reconsider how they're going to approach immigration. Surely they can target violent immigrants without disrupting mixed status families, without disrupting places of worship. And at the same time, the truth is, Congress has to get its act together. This is a legislative problem. We need bipartisan, common sense, humane immigration reform. But on behalf of our coalition, my church, we're deeply concerned that there's an intentional messaging and rhetoric that borders on xenophobia that is trying to scare our people or will disrupt mixed status families.